All right, welcome back to my MMA news. Today, David McKinney, and I'm joined by Dylan Budka, making his final amateur MMA appearance this weekend at Premier MMA Championship, fighting for the heavyweight title against Dylan Rinck in Northern Kentucky, just down the street from me, actually. But first off, man, I know you just finished your last, or not your last day, but you just finished practice last week of camp. I know it feels like you're probably not. I don't even know if camp is really a thing for you. We'll talk a little bit about that, but how's the last week of training going, heading up to the fight, and how you feeling?
Good. I feel like a champion already. Going into my last week, it's the last fight I'll have where I don't have to do a weight cut before I turn pro. So it's been good eating whatever I want. I can drink some
Yeah.
water right after practice. I probably am not going to have that many times soon. So it's been fun.
So you're fighting at heavyweight, and you fought mostly at 205 light heavyweight, and you've had a couple of heavyweight fights. So no weight cut for this one. As you kind of look forward going into the pro ranks, do you feel like you're going to try to stay at 205? You want to drop down to 185? What do you think is going to be the weight class for you heading forward?
We're already looking at a few scheduled days that are looking like it's going to be at 185. So we're making sure my weight stays around 210 right now for this fight until we get after this one, and we'll start making that cut down to 85 to where I'm walking around 200.
What's the mindset? I mean, as an amateur, 205 heavyweight. I know for you, it's just like, hey, maybe I want to find a fight because and we'll talk about it. You already had 8 amateur fights just in 2021. This is your 9th MMA fight. You've also done boxing, but what's the mindset behind that? A lot of guys I know are very particular about weight class. You don't really seem to. It doesn't really seem to bother you that much.
Um, when I first started and I got into this, I told my coach I wanted to take on the best guys. And at a point when they started realizing I was actually doing that, a lot of guys started backing out. So I was like, all right, let's go to the next weight class where the best guys are at. I even did a catch weight against William Connor for my third fight because he's the only guy who would meet me, and he was a lower guy, and I said I'll meet him at 95. So I just thought if I wanted to take this on quick and I wanted to get to the top quick and become a better fighter quick, then I thought the smartest thing to do was go against all the best guys at the best weight class I could possibly get to.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, 6-2 this year, 8 amateur fights, and I think is it 7 boxing matches that you had?
Yes, sir.
7-0 boxing as well, amateur boxing. Very busy. So fight camps really aren't a thing for you. It's just continually training. But you said something in a post that you had on social media that you've done something in less than a year that a lot of people take 6, 7, 8 years to do. Was that your game plan? Like, did you from the beginning have that mindset of I'm going to get 8 to 10 or how many ever fights I can get this year on the MMA side, a bunch of boxing, or did it kind of just happen? Like they just kind of snowballed and you just kept fighting I think it's been like every 6 weeks or so you've had an MMA fight.
Yeah. Well, we were just waiting for me to turn into the fighter I was supposed to be because the first few fights I'm still rookie at this. So we were trying to figure out when it was going to come out, when it was going to show that I can actually do this. And my first few fights, it was tough letting these hands go because I knew I could out wrestle anybody. So my coach's plan was to say, hey, when you start letting these hands go, we're going to take it to the next level. And that really motivated me to show everybody else what I'm capable of doing. I've still only showed like 20% of what I can do.
Wow, that's I like the mindset there. So, you come into MMA. I know I think you had a grappling match like late last year, but you fight in January and you lose your very first fight. What's the mindset there? Coming in, of course, I'm sure there's a ton riding on that first fight. But how do you bounce back so quickly from that? Is it just the fact, hey, it's an amateur, it's a learning experience, or is it just, hey, I got to go and I see a lot of holes, I see a lot of things I can fix? What's the I guess how did you turn around so quickly and now you're on a 4-fight win streak, 6-2 overall?
That first fight was crazy, man. It definitely humbled me a lot because before I got in there, I was kind of cocky. I was like, ain't nobody gonna mess with me because I already wrestled in front of big stages, and I've taken on a lot of good wrestlers. I trained with good wrestlers, and I thought when I got in there, it would be the same type of feeling. It's definitely not the same feeling, and it humbled me a lot. And my coach always says something when I said something when I started. He said the first fight's either gonna make you or break you, and it made me for sure. It made me want to made me definitely want to get that one back. And I feel like there's some things getting scheduled around that I'm going to have him back soon.
Yeah, and so the guy you fought, which is crazy. So your very first fight, you didn't go out and fight another debut guy. You fought Derek Overstreet, who is 3-1. I think he had won the Hard Rock MMA title back in the day at either 185 or 205, and that's your first fight. I mean, so you definitely put your money where your mouth is and saying that you'll fight anybody. But you mentioned, you talked about the wrestling background. I know you wrestled at Notre Dame College here in Ohio, which me following MMA, I follow wrestling a little bit, but following MMA, you see so many guys coming out of that program into MMA. You've got like Mo Miller, Brian Hauser, who I know is about to make his comeback into MMA, Taiwan Claxton, just so many guys that wrestle there, and it's a really really well renowned wrestling program, but it just seems to like breed future MMA fighters and guys that are these like super athletic freaks that come out of there. Like is it something in the water up there? Is it do they kind of recruit guys that maybe have like maybe want to go into MMA in the future? What is how's that program? It's one of my goals to eventually look into the program to talk about all the guys that they've produced, but how's that pipeline into MMA?
That's actually how I got like even in the thoughts of doing any of this fighting things. I met Kobe Fair, Mo Miller, and Jessica I, and all them were over there one day, and they were going at it in the gym one day, and I just started looking into it more, figuring out what I could do to get there. And yeah, the practices are crazy there. Everybody in the room's a dog, and they all just want to push each other while they're in there all the time. A lot of great wrestlers in there, a lot of very high level wrestlers that taught me a whole bunch of what I do now, and I just adapted it to the MMA fighting style. So it's a really crazy room in there. A lot of crazy guys.
Yeah, I mean, just seeing the guys that have made it into the MMA ranks, it seems like every like 6 weeks there's a new dude like, oh, he wrestled at Notre Dame, and they're all killers right from the beginning, which is crazy. But so you're originally from Baltimore, Maryland, right? You made your way out to Ohio, of course, for college for wrestling. And I know you said COVID hit, and then you actually went back to Baltimore, right? And you were kind of there training. Like I know you said you were kind of living kind of a not rough, but a nomadic kind of lifestyle, and made your way back to Ohio and teamed up with Gary Young at Demolition. How did that connection? Because Gary is I don't know, people that don't know Ohio. Notre Dame is in kind of northeast Ohio. Gary's in kind of that northwest, like Findlay area for Demolition. How did you get hooked up with Gary?
Faraz Golden actually came to me for one of his fight camps for his second pro fight, and he was the first person to introduce me to Demolition. And there was a time where he hit me up, and I was in one of them rough patches, and I told him, I need to get out of here, bro. I need to go do something. I want to fight, man. I want to do something. And then he hooked me up with Gary, gave me Gary's number, and we were talking about everything that's happening now and how we're going to do it. And it's just crazy how it's happening. So it just, it's awesome how it's happening.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it seems like a whirlwind just for me, like kind of following you. Like I'm the guy that enters all this stuff on Tapology, and it's like, oh, you had another fight, right? It's crazy, but yeah. So you talk about your team Demolition. You guys have a bunch of guys fighting on the same card as you, Premier MMA. What's that gym like, with so many guys? I think you have 5 guys on the fight card this weekend.
They all help me. They all keep me motivated. I have so many different size guys in here. I got one of the quickest super heavyweights, AJ Mattia. I got Jaden Talker. He's the pro bout that night. And it's a crazy feeling in the room where all of us are fighting on the same card. It makes it a little funner and exciting watching everybody go through their gauntlets and weight cuts that they need to do. We just keep everybody motivated, keep everybody pushing. We have one of the baddest, meanest teams around. So we take all the fights that nobody wants to take.
Yeah, and I mean, you're fighting everywhere. You're not just fighting. I think you've had one MMA fight in Ohio, but you fought in Kentucky, Pennsylvania, Alabama. What's it like going out of state to fight and always kind of being the road team?
Definitely, people do not like when you're coming in from out of town to fight their hometown hero. But I've made a lot of enemies doing it, and I've made a lot of fans afterwards. So it's definitely it makes it feel like more of a movie when you go to there, because everybody's screaming to go back to Findlay, Ohio, and then they're cheering for you afterwards when you beat their guy. So
Yeah,
it's crazy.
that's always, yeah. It's crazy the amount of respect shown. Most of the time by fans. I've been to a lot of MMA events, and usually it's a lot of respect. Especially once they see the fight, if it's a great fight. But how'd you get your nickname, man? That's one of the more unique nicknames that I think I've seen in a long time. Your nickname is Mindless Hulk. How'd you get that nickname?
When I first came into the gym, I already had a nickname. People would call me Hulk from wrestling because I would get so mad and I would slam people in their head in wrestling. And then I thought I had to switch it up a little bit. And I feel like a way that I've got through most of the things that I went through is just not caring and being mindless and just keep pushing. So I thought that would be a good way to motivate other people's stories if they're trying to do the same thing or going through the same thing I am, and just keep being mindless for real.
Yeah, and I almost was gonna say, last MMA fight, and then we'll see you next year. But knowing you'll probably make your pro debut in the next couple weeks before even the end of the year. So, but is that you are you planning to jump right back in there for pro? You want to maybe at least wait till after the new year? What's the timetable on going pro?
We're looking to get 2 contracts already, and one's for December and one's for January. And January is going to be to get some revenge back. So,
all right, say no more. Yeah. So this week, Premier MMA Championship. You got any sponsors, anything like that? Anybody you want to give a shout out to?
I'll be walking out with my walkout banner for that fight, and I hope everybody tunes in the pay-per-view. But I have a large amount of sponsors that it's hard to name them off. But I got Renegade Plumbing, Renegade Farming, and Longboard Shake Wraps, and Daniel Smith Insurance, all types of different things that are all over my social media. If you guys check it out. Sorry, I can't remember all of them right now.
That's a good thing, having too many that you can't remember them all. The fight is on combatsportsnow.com, by the way. Those guys do a great job. And then I will actually be up at Ohio Combat League, and which will also be on combatsportsnow.com. So a bunch of great support local MMA this weekend. And thank you so much. Premier MMA Championship 17, Dylan Budka fighting for the heavyweight title. Thanks, man. Good luck.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate you.